Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shadow's quite comfortable right now. I wanted to give a reminder that upcoming holy days are Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So that's going to be April 12th, which I believe is a Saturday for Passover Day, and then Feast of Unleavened Bread for April 13th to 19th. Now, I'm aware that people have all sorts of different opinions. I've heard the theory that Passover has pagan origins. Who knows? I've heard others, such as Del Tondo, say that Passover is something that's optional for the sojourners. If we're not born into Israel, then only those born into Israel would have it mandatory for them. I've heard all sorts of theories, and to be honest, for that reason, I try to keep what I believe is the spirit of the occasion of Passover and what Passover represents spiritually, rather than focusing on the details of the observance itself. Last year, for example, I was living in a much less populated area, and I just couldn't find lamb. I wanted to cook lamb for the Passover. I just looked and looked for lamb, and I couldn't find it in any market in the place where I lived. Now, it should be easier to find, but the point being is that I felt that I was able to at least observe the remaining details relevant to Passover, and the spirit of it is that the obedience to the Father gives us divine protection. And so, just as the spirit which took the firstborn passed over the houses that were marked on the doorpost by the blood, spiritually, this would signify, at least to me, among other things, that we have a certain spiritual protection as we walk through this wicked world, to the extent that we are living in accordance with the will. If we're actively defying the Father's will and living in the sin, then we can't expect that protection. But those who are living according to the Torah of the Father, they are going to be in His will. So do let me know if you are observing Passover, doing anything specific for that. And for the Feast of Unleavened Bread, I, of course, always make sure my household is free from bread at that time, as well as any product that may contain leaven in it. And you might be surprised how many products are that contain leaven in them. But I'm usually very good at the observance of that, and I like the significance of it. Allegedly that the Israelites were fleeing in such haste that they forgot to bring with them leaven in their pilgrimage. And so I think, again, the spiritual significance is probably more important than maybe a specific detail of what happened historically, but there may be deprivations, of course, that we face in our pilgrimage here on earth, and we definitely know we are not in Eden anymore, but we are attempting to live in a way that is obedient to the Father, to make His kingdom come and to restore earth to that order that the Father has always intended for it. And in the end times, there will be that order. And so, living within a wicked world, there are times when our pilgrimage will have to suffer deprivations, such as not having leavened bread. But depending on what culture you're from and how the food is, that's maybe a bigger deal or a lesser deal. Like here in Colombia, I think most people wouldn't even notice the Feast of Unleavened Bread if it was to be done countrywide. But in the United States, people eat lots of breads and processed foods. And so you'd be surprised how many processed foods had leaven. So in any case, do keep me in your prayers as far as I'm looking for work to do. I'm doing a little bit of tutoring with English students right now, and for now I have savings as well, and so I'm comfortable and I feel like I have an opportunity to perhaps even work independently if the Father opens up those opportunities for me. But it's been a while since I've had to do anything entrepreneurial. But in any case, I've been getting into the gym, trying to get some exercise into my daily routine, and Shadow is keeping me pretty busy as well. Right now he's checking out the new bug zapper that I got. That bug zapper is an answer to a prayer. I like living in this part of Colombia, but I'm very much. It almost feels like I'm in the Amazon with the different types of bugs and moths and everything else that's buzzing around here. So thankfully things have gotten more under control thanks to having things such as that bug zapper. I'm feeling pretty comfortable and better overall. But there's still that question mark over what sort of direction do I take for my career or anything like that. I've never been good at making money or planning out a career. And I mean, for example, I chose to get a bachelor's degree in psychology, and that's not a very marketable degree, shall we say. So, I'm trusting that the Father will provide and the Father will work my history together to be the exact right thing that I need for the opportunities that are going to come in the future. And, I was reminded of Psalm 1. I'm going to put that on the screen here. In fact, let's type that in here. Psalm 1. And blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And this, I always think back to the time that I was going hiking in Los Angeles, even during some of the worst droughts in Southern California that have happened in the past decade or two. I remember that I could still go hiking and I could still go on certain trails, and maybe instead of a big river, there'll be a little stream, but there would always be some sort of water flowing through there, even in the worst times of the drought. And it was refreshing to be able to go there and just see that, okay, at least there is some water in the region. And I would sit in the shade of the trees that grew alongside these streams and creeks, and even in the worst droughts, these trees were nourished and blessed. And so I've taken heart in that it doesn't matter what experience other people are having right now with the economy or their personal situation, because my personal situation is that I've got the best Father that anyone could ask for, and that I'm doing my best to live righteously according to the Father's will. And so with that, it's not a matter of what's happening out there in the world and the local economy or anything like that. I believe ultimately it's about our relationship with the Father to receive that blessing or not. Because this blessing, like a tree planted by rivers of water, this is dovetailing verses 1 and 2 about the focus on the law of the Lord. So with that, shalom, brothers and sisters, and I will focus this Sabbath on preparing for what is the significance of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we can talk about it as those dates happen. Shalom.